All right, episode number 5 coming at you. Welcome to Big Mouth Willie Bass Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Willis.
And I'm Matt Willis.
And we have a great show coming at you this week. I've been talking about them literally
Every show.
I think I end with, we're going to bring Randy Goodman on next time. And unfortunately, it just was not happening. Either it was on our end or on his end. But either way, it's finally happening, folks.
Yeah.
The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Dallas himself, Randy Goodman, is joining us to talk sports. We're doing a metaphorical sports roundtable tonight. What do you think about that, huh? So without any further ado, let's go ahead and bring him on right now. Randy, are you there?
I am here, Ryan. Hello, America.
Hello, world.
Hey, Matt. How's it going?
What's going on, Randy?
All right, man. Ready to talk some sports.
Yeah, let's have a distraction from this COVID-19, huh?
Yeah, this quarantine life and social distancing and all this stuff. Yeah, let's talk sports tonight, man.
Absolutely, man. Well, before we dive into it, Randy, because obviously we're going to talk a lot of Cowboys, we're going to talk about NFL free agency, and then we're going to dive into this crazy idea that Major League Baseball might return next month. But before we do all that, how have you been handling this quarantine life? How are you coping with no sports? Because, for guys like Matt and I, who are just sports fanatics, it's been awful.
Well, let's see. I would say that I'll turn on Sports Center or I'll turn on Fox Sports or FS1 and I'll have a game going on in the background and things like that while I'm playing on a laptop or whatever, just have that kind of thing. But then also, too, I'm a diehard Mavs fan and also a Cowboys fan stuff. And, of course, the Mavs, they were getting pretty hot there towards, when we had this break in the NBA season. And I don't know, man. It kind of put me in a funk at the beginning when we started having, all the sports teams, take a break and things like that. But yeah, it's been something else.
Well, yeah, we've been having withdrawals over here. Matt will be playing his freaking NBA 2K on his Xbox, and I'll get excited for a second thinking it's an actual game on TV, but it's just a video game. I'm just going crazy over here.
Well, and I do have a PS3, and I'm thinking about taking a cloth and dusting it off. And I'm actually just looking now. I think I have NBA K2, was it 14 or 15, something like that. And I've got a couple of Maddens.
Time to bust it out, Randy. Matter of fact, Matt and I just hooked up our Nintendo Wii to our big screen TV out in the living room today. So now's the time to do it. We got nothing else going on.
Get a wet towel to dry it off.
Oh, man. You got some Wii bowling going on?
I don't know if we have that game, do we?
What was it?
Wii bowling?
No.
I think our grandparents had that game back in the day.
Oh, man.
It's an older person game, apparently.
And there's, I remember when I had the Wii, there was a Drew Brees Madden cover. I can't remember what year it was.
Oh, yeah.
That was
11, I think?
Maybe it was 11. Man, that was fun. You just stand there and hold the remote, and like you were just back there as a quarterback and flicking the remote, going passes down the field and stuff.
Throw a ball 80 yards down the field.
Yeah, it was fun.
Gives a whole new meaning to armchair quarterback.
Yes, it does. Yeah, you're actually getting up and getting your heart rate up and all that good stuff. But yeah, I guess video games are kind of the upward trend now, and video gaming and was it the esports?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a hot area too. But yeah, it's just been kind of great. We're all just trying to find some kind of sports and some kind of entertainment, to get us through.
Well, thankfully the viewers have the Big Mouth Willie Bass podcast to turn to.
That's right.
That's right. And they also have your show they can turn to, Randy, a good sports show. And I forgot to mention to start off here that, yes, Randy is the host of a good sports show. And you can find him on YouTube and on iTunes. Is that correct, Randy?
That is correct. And also iTunes and Buzzsprout. And I'm going to start naming on iTunes. Was it TuneIn Radio? And iHeartRadio as well.
Man, you're on more platforms than we are. I can't even figure out how to get on iTunes.
I'll help you with that. We'll have a Zoom call here.
Oh, please. I need you, Randy. I mean, it's been a struggle even just for YouTube here. I mean, as I've told you, and I told our viewers a few weeks ago when we were recording episode 2, we had to do it like 10 million times because it kept deleting for some reason. So it has been a struggle. But anyway, folks, to follow Randy on Twitter, you can follow him on his personal account at RanGood03. That's at RanGood03. And then to follow his show's Twitter page is at A Good Sports Show, all in one word. And then Randy, you're also on Instagram and Facebook. Is that correct?
Yes, heavy on Instagram, definitely. I'll post stories, and usually I'll throw out some hot sports posts daily on there. So.
Oh, you're baking them up daily, Randy.
Yeah. Getting up there and throwing out some hot sports opinions.
That's right.
Awesome.
And for those that don't know, Randy and I, we've known each other for several years now, and we actually used to work together for a company called College Primetime, where we both had our own shows where we talk college sports, and we actually did a live draft show 2 years in a row. I believe it was 2016 and 17 in Dallas, where Randy lives. So Randy and I go way back, probably the biggest sports fan I know. Randy, are you thinking about doing a live show for the draft this year?
Well, I put the feelers out yesterday on Instagram, and I got a nice response back of 91% of the voting wanted me to do a draft show. So
I want to know who the 9% are that didn't want you to do a live show. Who are these people?
Who are these schmucks?
I demand an explanation.
Yeah, it was 9% that didn't want me to do it, but I think that might have been a bot. So we'll just throw that out.
It had to be a bot. Blame it on the bots. We got a bot that's following us on YouTube. Hi, Mr. Bot, if you're watching right now.
Yeah, you know who you are.
Hey, follow bot. Follow bot.
Click that subscribe button.
Yeah, let's crank those numbers up. Come on.
Yeah, you got it, buddy. All right, you ready to talk some football?
Yeah, let's talk some football, man.
Let's do it, man. Let's just go and dive right into your Dallas Cowboys. So we got to start off with Dak, man. Dak Prescott. It's been the topic of conversation for the last 20 years, it feels like.
Oh, yeah.
But the Cowboys, they decided to franchise tag him, as you very well know, a few weeks ago. He's set to make $33 million roughly in 2020. Randy, you know how I feel about Dak. I'm not a huge fan of the guy. I think he's a decent quarterback. I don't think he's anything special. The fact that he's been looking for about $40 million a year is asinine in my opinion. But do you believe that the two sides will ultimately come to an agreement on a long-term deal?
So my feeling is the Cowboys want 5 years on a contract deal, and Dak, he wants 4 years on a contract deal.
Oh.
And so I think that's kind of like what the holdup is right now on actually getting that deal done. But I agree with you that $40 million is just way, way out of the ballpark. I even think $33 million is that's just way too much too. I've been saying this for the past couple of months. I'm gonna get on my soapbox here. For the past couple of months, that he should get maybe a Jimmy Garoppolo type deal of a 5-year, $137.5 million contract, which averages around $27 million, $28 million a year.
Right.
Which I think that's more in line with the production and what you've gotten out of him for the past 4 years now. So, to me, Jerry and Steven, I'm sure they're probably going to break the bank, and it's going to be somewhere around 36 to 38 million is my guess.
I think that's too much.
It is. I mean, I don't understand it, Randy. Like, if it's only a matter of them being off by a few million, don't you think if the Cowboys really wanted to get this done, they would just go ahead and give Dak what he wants?
Exactly. I think also too, like they have until I believe was it July 15th to
I believe so. Yeah.
get a deal done with him, a long-term deal. And if they don't, then there's no negotiating until after the season's over. And he's a free agent. So,
well, Randy, you brought up something that is news to, I think, both of us. You said that the Cowboys want to give Dak 5 years, but Dak wants a 4-year deal. Is that what you said? Now, that's news to me. So why would Dak want less years? I don't think I've ever heard of a player wanting less years than what the team is actually wanting to offer him. That doesn't sound right to me.
Because I'm thinking the Cowboys, they want to stretch out this contract to make it a 5-year deal, and then for Dak wanting just 4 years, he'll be done with his 3rd, 4th year, whatever, and then
he'll get another big deal.
He'll get another big deal. That's what he wants. He doesn't want this long-term 5 or 6 year contract deal with the Cowboys.
The poor thing.
You know, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he doesn't want that money stretched out.
Exactly. Yeah, he wants it.
Here's another idea. Why don't they do what the Saints did with Drew Brees several years ago? Just front load the hell out of that contract. Give him like $40 million a year for the first couple of years, so you get that big chunk out of the way. That way, after year 2 or 3, you got more money to play with.
Exactly.
I mean, that's what I would do. But then again, I wouldn't even be interested in locking Dak up to a new contract because I don't think he's worth it. So.
Yeah, and like I go back to saying, like, to me, it makes sense for anywhere between 27 million, maybe 25 million is the lowest I may go on that. But I don't know. The Cowboys just keep playing around with him and stuff, and I think Dak, he's going to get tired of this after too long.
I think all of us are tired of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because Randy, you've had me come on your show a few times, and it's the same topic of conversation. Dak. What are they going to do? But the thing is, Randy, I mean, look, I understand on paper, Dak's numbers look pretty good. I mean, last year, in a sense, was kind of a career year for him. He had 30 touchdowns. He almost came close to getting 5,000 yards. I think he was off by 96 yards or something like that. So the numbers were there, and they kind of have been since his rookie year in 2016. But my biggest thing is look at his win-loss record after his rookie year. He went 13-3, obviously, that first year, burst onto the scene. Since then, I believe he's gone 9-7, 10-6, and now 8-8 this past year. And I understand it's not all on his shoulders, but at the same time, I feel like he's had a pretty decent team around him on both sides of the ball. And for them to go 8-8 last year, I don't know. I just don't think he really helped his cause. What do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like too many people get too focused on the stats rather than the end result. And ultimately, Dak Prescott has won more games than he's lost, but he's never won the big games that matter the most in the playoffs. Specifically in 2016, he lost in the first round against Green Bay. They lost against the Rams. Last year, they missed the playoffs completely.
Yeah.
So if you look at that regard, he's been pretty mediocre. My opinion is that 20 to 30 million should be what they should be looking at. I know that's not going to happen because every team always overpays for a quarterback. But Randy, let me ask you something. So were you guys all disappointed that the Cowboys did not sign either Tom Brady or Phillip Rivers?
I wouldn't say I'm just no.
Would you think that Tom Brady will be an upgrade over Prescott?
I would say Tom Brady. I don't know because
Maybe
Brady,
3 or 4 years ago, but now it's kind of hard to say, huh?
But don't you think, for the Cowboys' perspective, they're all about winning. They want to get back to the America's team, and signing a guy like Brady that would do it. They would have a win-now mentality, all chips on the table.
It would definitely put more people in the seats. Not that you guys are having an issue with attendance, but sell more jerseys, perhaps.
Yeah, it would be it would definitely be a media boost, and like you're saying, put butts in the seats and stuff. But I always said too, like Tom Brady now for like maybe the last 2 years, he's just one good hit away from going into retirement.
A good Lawrence Taylor sack.
In my opinion, I mean, just one blindside hit and he's toast. He's done.
Yeah.
It's tough because Brady. I mean, his numbers and stuff came down last year too. But then also, I mean, you have the talent around. Would he like excel with the talent in Dallas? Yeah, I mean, I would think he would. Dallas. I mean, you got Elliott, Cooper, Gallup. I'm just trying to think. I mean, you've got a couple of weapons that he could throw to. The offensive line, they're going to need some help. There's some gaps in that offensive line now. And also, too, with those Dak teams the past couple of years, that offensive line, to me, and I know a lot of people have the same opinion, they underachieved.
Yeah.
So it's all they're all kind of on one bet. Yeah, we're all kind of guilty of being an underachieving team and stuff. But, this is real. I mean, this is an interesting offseason for that team for sure.
Well, finishing up with Prescott, do you think that he's the man? Like, is Dallas in full support of Prescott? Like, how's the mood there with him?
I'd say that yeah, it's full support with Prescott. I would say so. I think by them not, but also too, I think also with them not giving him this contract already and just dragging this out. I mean, it just kind of looks bad too. Like, are the Jones really thinking Dak's the future? Are the Cowboys going to have some kind of wacky draft day deal? Are they going to draft for the future? Are they just going to kind of see, ride or die with Dak this year and see what happens? Because if the Cowboys win the Super Bowl this year in this crazy deal, and they do win the Super Bowl, his asking price is, I mean, basically you're just going to tell them to back up the truck and give him $40 million.
It would be what happened with the Ravens several years ago with Joe Flacco, because when he won his Super Bowl, I believe that wasn't a contract year, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. And the owner of the Ravens told Flacco, "Hey, you won us a Super Bowl. I will do that. What you just said, Randy. I will back up the Brinks trucks for you." And that's what they ended up having to do. And it just completely hogtied their team for the next 4 or 5 years after that.
5 or 6 years.
Yeah, I mean, they just could not do anything as far as free agency goes, and they had to let a lot of their good players walk because they had no money. And I feel like the Cowboys are heading in that same direction because they just gave Zeke Elliott, a 5-year, $90 million deal? Is that how much they gave him? And they just gave Amari Cooper $100 million. So if you give Dak what he wants, are they going to have any money left over?
I would. Well, they're going to have a little money left over for next year because I think they've already locked up Jalen Smith, who's they already got Lawrence locked up.
Yeah.
There's not really any other names that I could think of on both sides of the ball that would get a long-term big deal that I could think of off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Because the other recent one was Byron Jones and Miami. I could do a 20-minute rant on
They overpaid him.
I know how much you love Byron Jones, Randy.
And why the Dolphins and we knew, and I think I texted you that too, that somebody's going to overpay for Byron Jones.
And what happened?
They had money to throw around.
The Miami Tunas gave him $67.5 million, I think is how much it was, right? Or was it 67?
They've been writing checks the past couple weeks. They've just been writing these bloated checks to a lot of these guys. And
Byron Jones had 0 interceptions in the last 3 seasons.
Yeah, donuts.
Yeah. And I think he has 2 interceptions in his career.
Yeah, and you're going to give him 5 years, $82 million. No, thank you.
Yeah.
See ya.
Tuna fish.
Yeah, I think Jerry, for once, was pretty wise to pass on that. I mean, if he would have given him a contract like that, my goodness. Absolutely ridiculous. Well, Randy, just to close up the Dak talk, How do you see this all going down? Do you think that Dak will ultimately just go ahead and play out his franchise year? Or the other part of the question, if they can't come to an agreement on a new deal, do you think there's any possibility that Dak sits in 2020?
No, I think they'll come up with a long-term contract by the July 15th deadline.
Okay, so that's your prediction.
I think it's going to happen. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I really think it's going to happen, and I actually think it'll probably be a 4-year deal.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You think the Cowboys will cave in?
Yeah, I think the Cowboys are going to cave in on that one. I mean, Jerry and Steven, but I mean, they can see Dak, being their future quarterback. Well, I guess for next 4 years, I guess you're just doing the play out that's going to go the next 4 years. Dak and Elliott and Cooper are going to be your main guys.
I just don't understand the way that they've handled this from the beginning. I mean, if I was in the position there, general manager or what have you, I would have drafted a quarterback a year or two ago just in case something like this went down. Because I would have just been like, hey, Dak, this is what I feel. This is how much I feel you're worth. Take it or leave it. If you don't want it, that's completely fine. We got this young guy, Joe Schmo, waiting in the wings. He's ready to go, so good luck to you. I mean, that's how I would have handled it. But, I mean, so many of these NFL teams are just so short-sighted about their quarterback. It's just like the Vikings with Kirk Cousins. What are they doing giving him an extension? They should have drafted another quarterback a year ago. Kirk Cousins, we know what type of quarterback he is. He can be really good sometimes, but most of the times he's just mediocre, average. And I feel like Dak is pretty much in the same boat. But the Cowboys are going to end up caving in, like you said, and they're going to be stuck with him for the next few years. And I don't know. I just don't see it working out in the long run.
Just my opinion. I think regardless, even if the Cowboys do re-sign Prescott to a 4 or 5 year deal, I don't think they're going to be winning a Super Bowl under Prescott. That's just my opinion.
Oh, don't tell Randy that, Matt.
I tell it how it is.
You're already crashing my hopes over here. Come on, man. Well, we'll see. I mean, they have made some good moves this offseason, and they've, and locking Cooper down, and you got Zeke. I mean, I don't know. I mean, once that deal's done with Prescott, I think everybody just kind of move on with that and stuff. But if they don't win a Super Bowl in these next 4 or 5 years with him, that's just huge disappointment. It's going to come back to Jerry and Steve and say, why did you give him? Just like all these other quarterbacks we can talk about, why did you give him that big bloated contract when you kind of knew that you were dragging it on for 6 or 7 months, dragging your heels trying to give him that money, and he wouldn't do it, and then you finally caved in and gave it to him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, the pressure is no doubtly on.
As it always is there in Big D. And Randy, let's go ahead and get into some of the other moves that you mentioned that the Cowboys have made this offseason. They signed safety Clinton Dix to a 1 year deal. And then they signed defensive tackles Dontari Poe and Gerald McCoy. They even signed Greg the Leg Zuerlein.
They did. Got a kicker.
And then a couple of days ago, they decided to take a flyer on Aldon Smith, who has been arrested, I think, about 50 times in the last 3 years. Lol. So just talk about some of these moves. What do you like? What do you not like?
I do like the Poe move. That was a 2-year, $10 million deal. I do like Poe on the defensive tackle front. I do like the Clinton Dix move. That kind of helped out with Byron Jones leaving. Got a little bit back there. I know it was upgrade. I mean, he's kind of a free safety, but they kind of upgraded the secondary by signing him. I kind of like the Aldon Smith contract. It was a 1 year, $2 million flyer. Smith seems to like he's got his life turned around, and I just think and he's young too. I think he'll be good with Jalen Smith back there. Linebackers. Kicker.
Come on, Greg the Leg.
I mean, that was kind of surprising, I think he got a 3-year, I'm just looking, $7.5 million deal.
Yeah.
You failed to mention they got a tight end They got the Bulldozer from Oklahoma.
Oh, how could I forget?
Yeah, the Bulldozer, man. Come on. Blake Bell.
Yeah, to replace old man Witten's spot, right? Because Witten went to the Raiders.
Yeah, that was...
That's sad, man. He goes from retiring a Cowboy to the Monday night booth, which is a complete train wreck. Then he comes back out of retirement to play for the Cowboys. And now he's going to go play for the Raiders in Vegas? Come on, Witt.
Yeah, so the Cowboys, their tight end position, that'll be a interesting battle in training camp. I'm going to be sure to watch that. But yeah, like we're talking, just come back to Prescott. Just like Tony Romo had Witten as a blanket, underneath. I mean, Prescott needs that guy underneath, to help him out in short yardage situations and things like to move the chains,
What's wrong with Blake Jarwin?
Well,
Fantasy darling, Randy.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm going to be interested in this training camp battle with these tight ends. But yeah, then you got Frederick. He retired.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I was going to bring him up next, Randy. I mean, what was your initial reaction on that? I mean, here's a guy in the prime of his career, only 29 years old, 5-time All-Pro. I mean, one of the best out there, and just like that, he decides to retire. I mean, what was your reaction on that?
I mean, I completely understand with it. Him, wanted to do this, and I mean, he's married. He's got two young kids. I mean, there's a lot of life left for him and stuff, and I just don't think, it's worth risking out there, especially at the center position. You got all these tight, fast-paced guys coming just right at you, ready to tattoo you, try to get to the quarterback.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm sad. Of course, he's leaving and stuff. I mean, he's a great player for the Cowboys. So it was a great draft pick.
And he came back strong last season because, correct me if I'm wrong, Randy, but he missed the entire 2018 season, did he not?
Mm-hmm. He did. No?
Yeah, he had to deal with that autoimmune disease, which was just a complete random thing that popped up, I think, right before the season started in 18.
Mm-hmm.
So he missed all of that year, and then he bounces back last year, and he was an All-Pro again.
Yeah, and then just to retire like that, yeah, it was kind of it was a shock here, but, we all understood too,
That definitely seems to be the trend now, Matt, as far as players stepping away early. We just saw Luke Kuechly last month hang him up, and he, I believe, was 29 too, wasn't he?
Yeah, I believe it was.
Yeah.
It's pretty sad to see that, but...
Completely understandable.
Yeah, it's understandable. And we're kind of like in this new era where it's like more power to the players. They kind of, they dictate the show. So they want to hang it up early, they can. And
well, plus they're going to start playing a 17-game regular season starting next year.
Damn, man.
With an extra playoff team in each conference. What do you think about that?
The Cowboys have a chance now, huh, Randy?
8-8 gets you in.
That's right. You can get in. Maybe even 7-9 will get you in. You never know.
Somewhere Jason Garrett's sitting there saying, man, where was this a few years ago?
Exactly. Oh, man, yeah.
My son is gone.
Yeah.
That's going to be a mess up in New York. But,
yeah, that's another story.
That's a whole other show.
To be honest with you, I can't even remember the guy's name that they hired for the Giants.
Wasn't it Joe Judge?
Joe Judge, that's right. Yeah. Patriots wide receiver coach. That's their new head coach. And then Jason Garrett's the new OC over there.
Quite the tandem, huh, Randy?
Oh, man. Yeah, that offense will flourish.
Oh, absolutely. Danny Dimes will be having a field day with old JC boy.
Ooh, we're going to open it up 4 games, and everybody's going to figure out what I do.
Eli Manning's punching air right now.
The clapper.
The clapper. Oh, great job.
Great job, everybody. 8-8. Here we go.
Great job.
Good effort.
3 and out. Great job. 3 and out.
3 and out.
All right, Randy. Well, turning away from the Cowboys, Let me just get your thoughts as far as who do you think has had the best offseason so far? I mean, I know you don't win Super Bowls technically in free agency, but if you had to pick one team to this point, maybe it is your Cowboys, I don't know. One team that has won free agency, who would you pick? Because I personally think it's the Indianapolis Colts. They were able to bring in Phillip Rivers on a 1-year deal. I mean, that team is ready to win now. And then they trade for DeForest Buckner, thank you. I was drawing a blank on his name. They trade for him, a beast on that defensive line. They even took a 1-year flyer on Xavier Rhodes, the corner from Minnesota, who I know has not been great the last couple of years, but is not too far removed from being one of the best corners in all of football. But who would you say has won the offseason?
I would say the Buffalo Bills on my radar. Of course, they got Diggs from the Vikings. So I mean that's going to be a number one wideout for Josh Allen. They also added Darrell Williams for protection for Allen up on the line. Something else to consider. I mean that was a huge signing for them, and then also I think they got a couple of defensive players to help on that good defensive front they had for the Bills.
They already had a good one too.
Mm-hmm.
They did lose Shaq Lawson to the Tunas, though.
They did, yeah. They did lose Lawson, but I say the Bills probably had the best free agency period. And I'm actually thinking the Bills probably going to win the AFC East.
Oh.
You know, I could see that. I mean, I definitely think the Patriots, I mean, there's a lot of unknowns. Obviously, now with Brady leaving that division, we're really going to find out how great of a coach Belichick is. I mean, I think we already kind of have an idea because we've seen Belichick win without Brady. For example, the year he tore his ACL week 1 and Matt Castle came in and won, I believe, 11 games for him in 2008. So I think we kind of have an idea, but still, I mean, it's been 20 years essentially, nothing but Brady and Belichick. You take one of those guys away now, it's going to be a whole different division, I would have to think. I really hope, I'm praying to the football gods, Randy, that we're going to see a new AFC East division champ in 2020.
Could it be the Tunas?
I don't think so. I mean, look, they definitely played a lot better than I think we expected last year. Brian Flores, first-year head coach, I think he got a lot out of a little. But we still don't really know who their quarterback is, do we?
No, I think who Fitzpatrick and
Fitzmagic and Josh Rosen?
Yeah, they're
quite the tandem.
And of course, they're probably going to be looking at possibly drafting Tua.
That's what I'm thinking. Tua, or if they can.
Justin
I don't know how
Herbert.
they would. I don't know how they would get to one to get Burrow, but
Yeah, they gave up the farm.
yeah, that's probably Tua. I would say they're probably going to take Tua.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
I think so. I mean, that's what we've been hearing really since last year, that the Dolphins would want to take Tua. Obviously, a lot can happen still, and we could have a draft day trade go down. I've also been seeing a lot of people saying that the Chargers might get him, which I really hope does not happen for obvious reasons. But yeah, I personally think it would be a good fit for Tua in Miami, because if they wanted him to wait his rookie year and let him sit on the bench. I mean, they got a couple veterans already on the team that could certainly start for them in the meantime if Tua still needs a little bit of time to recover from his hip injury. So, yeah, I think that would be a good spot for him for sure.
Not bad.
Absolutely. But, yeah, so you think the Bills won the offseason. Matt thought it was the Buccaneers because they were able to ultimately land Tom Brady in that sweepstakes. What do you think about Brady going to Tampa, Randy? Do you think that's going to be a good fit, or do you think it's going to be an absolute disaster?
I think it actually could be good the first year. I think him throwing to Evans, that's going to be fun. And then what's the tight end's name for
O.J. Howard?
Yes.
They also have Cameron Brate.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just think Tampa Bay. I mean, I think their offensive line was a little suspect last year too. But I don't know. It's going to be fun. The NFC South is going to be a lot of fun to watch this year, I think.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Sorry, Ryan's getting a swig of like 3 drinks at once. So
Yeah, sorry, I'm drinking my water, my coffee, my scotch and water.
Ooh.
Taking a bite out of my jelly-filled donut. Lol.
Oh, nice. Oh, man.
Sorry, a little break there. But yeah, I agree with you, Randy. I think for 2020, things are looking pretty good for Tampa. After that, no idea. I mean, we don't even know how Brady's going to react this year to begin with. I mean, we saw the decline in his arm strength last year. And you know that Bruce Arians likes to gun it downfield, especially with weapons like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So I think there's definitely a lot of question marks there, but certainly Tampa Bay, for the first time in 15 years, is going to be relevant again.
Yeah, that's why also, too, I mentioned that they should draft a quarterback, regardless, like this coming draft.
And there's something else you guys, I don't know if you've seen, too. They have new jerseys.
Yeah, and I actually like it because they kind of went back to what they had from the late 90s to about, a few years ago.
Yeah, they don't have those digital numbers anymore. It's a lot more crisp.
Yeah, it's
straight
more
off
that,
the printing
is
press.
Is it them or Atlanta that has the FUBU-type jerseys?
Atlanta.
Yeah, they got new jerseys, too.
Atlanta's jerseys look awful. Just awful. They have the ATL on the front. I mean, it looks just so sorry, man. Like, who the heck comes up with these ideas?
They're terrible anyway. Like, yeah.
To quote the great Charles Barkley, that's terrible.
Terrible. Dirty
Terrible.
birds. I can't stand the Falcons.
Yeah, too many of these teams, Randy, are switching uniforms like every other year. I just don't understand. Just pick one that works and just stick with it. It's kind of like the Raiders. They've had the same damn jersey for how many years? 60-plus years now. Just stick with what works.
Or just stick with what the fans like.
Yeah, exactly. When the Chargers were still in San Diego, we begged the Spanoses to let them wear the powder blues full time. But nope, they'd only wear once or twice a year in a primetime game. Now that they're moving to their new stadium in LA, now we'll go to powder blues, sure.
Bunch of inconsiderate assholes.
But once, when they had fans back in the day here in San Diego, they weren't willing to do it. I'll never understand that. Sorry, getting off on a tangent here. All right, to wrap up the NFL talk, Randy, there was a trade that went down today, and you and I were texting back and forth about it like literally an hour before the show. The Rams traded Brandon Cooks to the Texans for a second-round pick in this year's draft, and the Rams, I believe, got a fourth-rounder in the 2022 draft. So this is like the 10th time Brandon Cooks has been traded, it seems like. I don't know what's going on with that. But what are your thoughts? I mean, first off, Bill O'Brien over there in Houston, not too far from you, decided it's a great idea to trade DeAndre Hopkins for David Johnson. And he doesn't even get a first-round pick in return. And to replace him, they go out and sign your old friend Randall Cobb. And now they trade for Brandon Cooks. I mean, what are the Texans doing?
I don't know, because they have, so they have Cobb, they have Cooks, and they got Fuller. Now, which one of those three do you guys think is going to be on first to go on the injury list?
My money's on Fuller because I call him Will Hamstrings Fuller.
And plus, he was on my fantasy team last year. I know. Injury prone.
You know, I was just soft pitching that up to you guys, because I knew what
we appreciate it.
Good man.
But yeah, so, man, and I'm sure Deshaun Watson's probably sitting at home like, what the hell?
Yeah.
What are they?
That poor bastard.
I feel so bad for him, too, because he's one of my favorite players in the NFL. He's such a good dude.
Oh, man, he's tough, too.
Yes, and you take away a top 3 receiver, and you're going to replace him with 2 guys, one of which in Cobb, who, I'm sorry, he's a has-been. He's old. I mean, he didn't even really do much with the Cowboys the last couple years. And now you're bringing in Brandon Cooks, who's coming off of his worst year. I mean, I know he missed a good chunk of the season because of a concussion, I believe it was. So that was obviously a big reason for why his numbers were down. But even before then, I mean, the Rams were not throwing him the ball at all. I mean, Robert Woods took over as their number 1 receiver along with Cooper Kupp. So he kind of got lost in that offense. So I don't know, maybe he has a resurgence with the Texans, but I don't get what Bill O'Brien's doing. I don't know if he's just trying to get fired. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, the Texans, man, they're a mess up in their front office. It's just, It's embarrassing.
You have to think with, because obviously Bill O'Brien, the mastermind who traded DeAndre Hopkins, there must have been some sort of conflict of interest between him and Hopkins, because I don't think there's any other explanation to why you would make that trade to begin with.
No.
They obviously had some sort of fallout either, at the end of the season or their last game against Kansas City. Something must have went down.
Well, from what I was reading, I believe Hopkins wanted to restructure his deal and get more money, and Bill O'Brien's just like, nope. And by the way, I've never gone along with you to begin with, so since you're asking, this gives me a perfect excuse to ship you out.
See, that's why some coaches should not be the general manager.
Yeah, exactly. Let the coaches handle the on-the-field stuff. Do not get involved with off the field, because clearly most of them cannot handle it.
With an exception of Andy Reid and Bill Belichick.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Exactly. And so now his punishment, Bill O'Brien, Brown, I'm going to send you out to Arizona so you can, deal with Kingsbury and Kyler Murray, trying to learn his offense and stuff. So,
yeah,
just kind of send him out there to struggle. But the David Johnson thing too, I don't know. David Johnson just doesn't do anything for me. Does it do anything for you guys?
No, we were making fun of him a couple shows ago. I mean, I've seen a lot of videos on Twitter, Randy, where it shows David Johnson taking a carry, and it looks like he's just jogging in place, and they call it eco-friendly David Johnson. I mean, the guy clearly, he got his big contract a couple years ago. He just doesn't care. He's got his money. He honestly just does not seem like he gives a crap anymore. I do not understand why anyone in their right minds would want to trade for him.
Yeah, that's just, man, when that whole thing went down, it was a bad deal, just from top to bottom. But
it makes you glad you're a Cowboys fan, doesn't it?
Oh, man, yeah, I guess I'd rather have, some stubbornness and, and some bloated contracts, and then that kind of dysfunctional mess, you got in Houston and, but Houston kind of sucks anyway. They're the stuff out here in Texas. So.
Oh, you love the Texas and Astros. Come on, Randy, and the Rockets.
No, I can't stand Astros either. A bunch of cheaters.
Cheaters!
Bunch of bums.
Yeah, then your Rangers are trying to open up a new ballpark, and the season's not going right now. We don't know when we're going to have baseball. Speaking of which, let's transition into baseball, Randy, and see if we will actually have any America's pastime to talk about. So there was a report that came out, I believe it was on Tuesday, from MLB insider Jeff Passan, I believe that's how you pronounce his last name, that there are rumors swirling around that Major League Baseball is discussing the regular season starting next month in May. And here are the parameters. All teams would play in Arizona, all 30 teams. They would implement an electronic strike zone so the umpire can distance themselves from the catcher and the batter. And honestly, they should have gone to an electric strike zone years ago anyways, because umpires suck. And then no mound visits. So if the pitcher's struggling, getting his ass kicked out there, doesn't matter. You can't go out to talk to him. And then they're even talking about having 7-inning double headers. So they would just play 7 innings instead of 9. That way they could kind of speed up the season and get more games in. They would have the players sit in empty stands 6 feet away from each other. And then when the game's over, players and coaches would be sequestered at local hotels. And they would not see their families for potentially up to 4.5 to 5 months.
Brings a tear to my eye, man.
Wowzer. So, initial thoughts, Randy. What are your thoughts on this idea? Is it absolutely insane? Do you think it could work? Or are you kind of just like us where we're like, well, if that's the only option between that and having no baseball at all, I guess I'll take it?
I don't think... my personal feeling is I don't think it's going to work. I just... Man, yeah, it's going to play in empty stadiums, and...
There's so many layers to it.
Yeah, and players sitting up in the stands, and I
Wait
mean,
to the camera.
They can order a hot dog and a beer. Come on, Randy.
and get some nachos.
Yeah, and a pretzel.
Yeah,
Hell yeah, man.
yeah. It just, I don't know. And then also too, like you were saying, electronic strike zone, and then they can't come to the mound. I mean, of course, I think like the mound visits. I mean, to me personally, like baseball's not on my like top 3 list, but the mound visits to me are always a beating. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Well,
like that fast paced, like keep the game going type.
Yeah, because they
deal.
actually were going to have a new rule start this year, right, Matt? Where if you're going to bring in a new pitcher, they have to face a minimum of 3 batters.
3 batters.
So no more of this, oh, we're going to bring in our lefty specialist to pitch to Barry Bonds. And then if he, gets him out or whatever, he's just going to get yanked right after that. And you're just switching pitchers every other batter. So they can't do that anymore, which is obviously a good thing. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Matt and I have been talking about it for a few days now. We kind of have the opinion of, this would be better than no baseball at all. But, yeah, there's just so much to it. I really just don't know if it would actually be feasible. Like, can this actually work?
Yeah. And plus, they have to get like the professional opinions of like doctors and everyone involved with the whole COVID-19 situation to approve of it.
Right, and then what happens if just one player, one coach, one trainer, what have you, comes down with the virus? Then
One
are they
vendor.
a vendor selling hot dogs to the players? Like, what are they gonna do then? Are they gonna just have to re-shut down everything? Like, to me, I would almost say, look, if there's a chance that we can kick the season off in June or July and it will be normal baseball with fans in the stands and none of this other stuff, I would be actually probably more willing to just wait until then. But at the same time, we don't know if that's even an option right now. We have no idea what the future holds.
Yeah, and I was reading also too that I just had a couple of notes here. Like it would be a 2 to 3 week training camp that they would have.
Yeah.
And also, the opening day would be in June. And like you said, with Chase Field being an option, also there would be 10 spring training facilities that they would play at. So, and then also what Matt was saying too, like with the coronavirus and stuff, you'd have to secure widespread testing, for all the players and stuff. So it just seems like there's just so many hoops you'd have to jump through to get all this going. So we're just watching teams playing an empty stadium. I understand it's sports. It is sports.
Right.
To a certain extent. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It just sounds like a logistical nightmare to me. And then the players can't see their wives and kids for 4 to 5 months. I mean, I can't imagine that many of them are going to sign up for that. I mean, I understand these guys are making, in a lot of cases, millions of dollars, so maybe they would be willing to do it. But I don't know, man. I just don't know if it's going to be worth the risk or not.
Well, and then also, too, you're thinking, these players, like you're saying, like they have lives and stuff, and they have families and kids, and I mean, it's going to start messing with their minds and how they're performing and how they're playing and stuff, with this kind of situation that we've never seen and they've never been in before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What the MLB could do is they could take a vote on this, see what the players think. I mean, if they like unanimously say no to it, then obviously shut it down. But I mean, I've heard like several players, like Nolan Arenado, for instance, of the Colorado Rockies, says I'm down with it. So there's at least a handful of players that appears that are in on it.
Mm-hmm. And then I was also was reading a little bit today. There's a Dr. Jeffrey Smith that's there in California, and this is kind of a depressing comment.
I think I know where you're going with this. Yeah.
He said that he did not expect that it would be safe for any sports games until at least Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and he said that even that might be an optimistic
Yes.
outlook, that 2021 might be when we will resume sports again, which, I mean, like, people saying that, like, I understand he's an expert in his field, but I don't understand why you would come out and say something like that. Like, are you just trying to piss people off? Are you trying to get people all hysterical and more scared? I mean, come on. Nobody really knows if you're an expert or not. Nobody knows what the future holds. Let's just take it day by day. There's no reason other than to just get a reaction, apparently, for someone to say that. I mean, I've seen a lot of other people say the same thing, like, oh, I don't think we're going to see any sports the rest of this year. And that might be true. That might end up being the case, but we have no idea. So until we actually know, shut your damn mouth.
Shut up, Doc.
Shut your big mouth.
Shut up. As the umpire's doing baseball, get out of here. You're out of here.
That's right. I wonder what Bob Euchre's doing right now.
What Joe West is doing.
Cowboy Joe. He's probably having serious withdrawals right now, not being a dick.
He's probably having a bunch of scotch.
Man. Well, it'll be interesting to say the least, Randy, and what ends up happening here. I mean, obviously, like we were saying, we hope that something happens where we'll have something to talk about sports related, but, we'll just have to hold tight in the meantime. Randy, we really appreciate you joining us tonight, but before I let you go, I wanted you to have an opportunity to promote your new business that you just started up.
Yeah, man. Thank you for the opportunity to do a cheap plug here.
Of course, that's what we're here for.
It's our pleasure, Randy. You're a good man.
You're a good man, Goodman.
All right, so we've got so I'm starting a sports card kind of business type deal. So during the little backstory here, real quick, during the quarantine here, I was going through some sports cards and memorabilia I have and stuff, and cleaning up the man cave and things like that. So I was like, maybe it's time to just go ahead and kind of clean some stuff out and, let some things go and sell some of my prized, like, sports cards and things like that. I've had some cards probably over 30 years at least.
Wow.
So, but I have the whole story on actually on the Instagram post of why I started this and things like that, and people can go check it out and stuff. But yeah, it's Goodman Sports Cards on Instagram and Facebook, and then there'll be an Instagram, or not Instagram, a eBay page coming up soon. So you can purchase some of these cards. I've got some old, like, Barry Bonds rookie cards.
Ooh.
Let's see, I got Will Clark.
There you go.
Let's see, I've got a couple of Troy Aikmans. May have an Emmitt Smith in there. And if we want to start bringing it more to more newer stuff, I've got probably the biggest card I've got right now is a John Morant.
Yeah, you have his rookie card.
Yeah, I think I showed you that one. I've got that one posted on the Instagram account. But yeah, that's probably the biggest pull.
Don't you also have a rookie Giannis card? The Greek Freak?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
So the Giannis card, that one I got out of it was a Walgreens $4.99 little box pack thing. And so I was like, I'll try one of these. Opened it up, going through there and stuff. I didn't know, like, at the time, like, how much the card, was worth and stuff. I don't know if they screwed up putting it up there or how long that had been on the shelf.
This card is worthless.
I was like, yeah. I was like, man, he was MVP and stuff last year. This is last year when I got it, and I was like, maybe I'll look this up on eBay. And I'm looking 75 plus on that card. And I haven't got it graded or anything.
And I'm sure it's only going to go up from here.
Yeah, but I put it on his sleeve and stuff and things like that. But yeah, the John Morant, I'll tell you real quick the story on that one. I love telling the story. So I got this one at it was on an end cap at Target. And they just came out, and it's a Panini Contenders. And it's called a Fat Pack, and it's $4.99. You got like 30 cards in there, and there's sometimes some inserts in there and things of that nature. So I was like, I'll go ahead and buy one of these. Why not? I was like, because I think it had, I forgot who was on the packaging, but anyway, caught my eye. Good marketing there by them. But anyway, so I get home, open it up, start looking through, and the card, I didn't know who it was, but the card was upside down and backwards and shiny. So usually in that case, when you get about middle of the pack and you see a card that's upside down and shiny like that, it's either an autograph or it's a kind of like what do they call them, like foil card, whatever. So I get to the middle of the pack, flip the card over, and son of a bitch, it was a John Morant autographed green shimmer card, which
man.
Oh man, I nearly dropped all the cards.
I bet, man. You weren't expecting that, I bet.
No, and so and I was like, oh man, I'll go on eBay and stuff and try to find comps on it and stuff. So I go on eBay and look, and there was maybe one other post. So I started doing more research on the internet and stuff, and there's only a limited number of these cards. Usually there's a serial number on there, tell you how many they're made. Well, this one doesn't have a serial number, but I know it's a short print by talking to other shop owners. But anyway, so I look on eBay a couple weeks later and stuff, and I see a couple more trickle on there. This card's going for almost $2,000 and up that people are valuing this card.
Wow.
So I'm like crap, man. So first thing I did was put in a case and stuff, and but yeah, I'm gonna sell that one as well. I'm gonna put that one up here probably in the next week.
All
week
right, that is fantastic stuff.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good to me.
But yeah, so it's been fun, with these sports cards and stuff, and I've got like I said, I've got cards I've collected over the years and stuff, and I've got common cards and stuff, and but yeah, I plan on really having fun with that this summer and things of that nature, and just kind of see how it goes and stuff. It's something I've been passionate about a long time, so just kind of see how it goes. Maybe I make a little money off of it, but most off it's mostly the fun part and the thrill and the chase of opening the pack and trying and getting those cards, like the Zion cards and things of that nature. I don't know if you guys have looked around online and stuff, seeing Zion rookie cards are just through the roof.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
Especially his autograph cards, and Morant, he's right up there because he was gonna win Rookie of the Year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So
hands down, have a fantastic year for the Grizzlies.
But yeah, this past year last year with Luka and Trae Young coming out, and then this year with Zion and John Morant, these last 2 years of trading cards have just been insane, through the roof and stuff. And I think Luka, I'll just tell you real quick, Luka I think he kind of contributed to me getting kind of back into some of the trading card stuff. I have some of his rookie cards, but not the ones I'd really like to have,
Yeah.
They're too expensive. But then the other thing too, I know you guys, the Jordan rookie card is the holy grail of sports collecting for the most part. So, and then of course there's reprints on those too. You have to watch out for those. But the Jordan rookie cards, they're just going in the thousands.
Oh, yeah.
And that's number one on my bucket list, or not my bucket list, but my wish list.
Yeah.
That I want to try to get. So
join the club, Randy. Join the club.
Yeah. So yeah, it's fun. So,
yeah. Well, we're very excited for you, Randy. Best of luck to your new venture. We wish you the absolute best. And again, that's Goodman Sports Cards and Collectibles, correct?
Yes, Goodman Sports Cards and Collectibles on Instagram and Facebook.
All right. Well, our viewers, I'm sure, will be checking that out shortly.
All right.
All right, buddy. Well, hey, thank you again so much for joining us tonight. This was a whole lot of fun. Took up an hour of our time, your time, and we got a good distraction. So for that, we thank you very much, and we hope to talk to you very soon.
Yeah, it was great talking to you guys and talking sports, and yeah, let's do this again soon. Let's have another roundtable.
All right.
Yes, thank you, Randy.
All right, guys.
All right, Randy. Have a good one.
Stay safe.
You too. Be safe and stay well.
Okay, buddy.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. There he was, the man, the myth, the legend. Good man, Randy Goodman.
We finally got him on.
We feel like we accomplished something here tonight. Well, anyway, we're about to hit the 1 hour mark, so I think it's time for us to get out of here. Until next time, I'm Ryan Willis.
And I'm Matt Willis.
See ya.
Bye-bye.